Namaskar, I'm Harpreet Kaur and I welcome you all to our live and interactive online training program on leveraging AI for transforming school education. You are watching us live on PM eVidya channels 6 to 12 and also on our YouTube handle NCERT Official. Today we are in day 2 of the training session, and on day 2 we are taking the topic Policy Framework and Governance Models for AI Integration in School Education. I'm sure you must be having a lot of questions regarding the topic today, so please feel free to get in touch with us. Our phone number is 8800440559. Our email ID is training.helpdesk@ciit.nic.in. And on our YouTube handle NCERT Official, you can send us your questions, suggestions, and of course your feedback. Now, it's a 5-day, 5-hour online training program. So you know that there is an assessment that happens at the last day of the training session. You can refer to our CIET website for more guidelines on the same. If you score more than 70%, you'll be granted a certificate. Now, AI plays a very important role when it comes to transforming school education. Yesterday, we also learned about the basic foundations of AI and how different models are actually helping us in personalizing the content for people out there, children out there, because today we talk about equality in education, equity in education, and inclusivity in education. So, to know more about today's topic, let's now welcome our expert. We are joined by Dr. Surya Prakash. Sir is Assistant Professor from Indian Institute of Information Technology, Allahbad, India. Sir, namaskar and very warm welcome to the session.
Namaskar, ma'am.
Sir,
okay, and yes, ma'am.
Sir, it's a pleasure to have you because you're going to take up one really important topic today. And before you actually start this session with your presentation, you delve deep into the topic. I request you to kindly give us a brief agenda of what all you'll be covering in the session today.
Okay. So, basically, first of all, I want to say the good afternoon to all of you. And I'm Surya Prakash, as ma'am already told that introduced me. So today I am just going to cover the policy framework and the governance model for AI integration in the school education, because as per the current scenario, in these days, we have the student and the teacher, but because of the diversity of the students and because student coming from the different backgrounds, language, regions, other things, so that's why we need some kind of technology which can fill the learning gap between the students.
Right.
And so that's why in this lecture we are basically covering how we can fill this gap so a student can get more information, more data, and for the learning purpose, for the education purpose. So that's why, and which is one of the best possible ways, the AI integration in the school education. So we will cover that part in this lecture. And by the way, this is the online training program, and which is under the leveraging artificial intelligence for transforming school education.
Right, sir.
So,
thank you.
Okay, so
thank you so much, sir, for briefing us about today's agenda. And there's one more thing that we will be receiving questions from the audiences as well. You can go ahead with your presentation right now, uninterrupted, and whatever questions will be there, sir, we will take them up in the end. Over to you now.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, so let's start the session. So, by the way, in this session, like this will be the flow. So there are 7 sections. I divided this area into the 7 sections. So like first we will go through what is the need of the AI integration in the school education. Then if there is something we needed, obviously we should know what is this. So that's why in the second section we will cover what is the AI. And then if we are implementing the AI, so what will be the policy and governments. And obviously if there is a governments and policy, obviously there should be the stakeholders and what is the roles of the stakeholder, this also be the part of that. And if we are applying any kind of technology, so there should be some limitations, so ethics should be there, and privacy is also be the part of that. And after that we will cover the governance model and how we can implement the AI integration in the school education. So there will be the steps which will cover in the roadmap section. And at last, obviously there is a discussion, as ma'am already told that we will cover the question answer session. Okay, so let's start with the first section, so which is the context and the need of the AI integration. So first question arises then, why we need the AI in the school education? Okay, so basically, as I already told you, what is the agenda of this lecture? Because okay, just go through the traditional method. So what is the currently what we are doing? There is a one teacher and there is a multiple student. So one teacher is giving the lecture or giving the information, and but each and every student getting the information in a different ways, because there is a diversity in the learning. Like some students are the slow learners, some students are the fast learners, some from the different kind of language, come from the different kind of regions, some from urban, some from rural areas. So that's why there is a diversity in the learning. So obviously, whatever the traditional method is there, and because of the scarcity of the teachers and the infrastructure, we cannot give the lecture or give the information to one by one student. So that's why we need the personalized learning, but we cannot. So that's why we need some kind of technology support, because we have the limited teacher time and resources as the third point. So that's why if we have the technology support, so at least we can get the learning gaps. And what are the learning gaps? Because if I am giving the lecture and one is the slow learner, one is the fast learner. Okay, so I am giving the two, means I am giving the same lecture, but fast learner, okay, getting the information, but suppose 80% of whatever I am teaching, and slow learner is getting suppose 60%. So there is a 20% gap, and how we will detect it? So obviously, as per the traditional method, what we are doing actually the assessment. So if we are doing the assessment, and after that we are getting the, okay, what is the gap in between the student, between these two students. So if we have the AI integration, so we have that kind of tool. By the way, we will cover that part later. So we have the tool through which we can detect the learning gap at the early stage, so we can take the decision according for the slow learner. Suppose it need some specialized type of training or some different kind of some assessment, so we can provide through the AI integration, artificial intelligence integration. So obviously, when we need to fill this gap, we need the data, and we will collect the data from the student, like attendance, assessment, and all these things. Okay, so all these points are required for the AI integration in the school education. Now come to the, so this is the need. Okay, now another point is the NEP 2020. So as per the NEP 2020, the mandate is that the quality of the education should be provided to all the students, which is also required. So as I already told you, which is not possible with one by one student. So that's why we need some kind of bridging between that, and the inclusion in the learning, technology enabled teaching, and the digital tools also required. And but if we are using the digital tool, the teacher or student should not totally depend on that, because we should use the tool as a assistant of the human, or the teacher or the student or the stakeholder who are using the digital tools, digital AI tools. So that's why we have to focus on the ethical and responsible use of that. So as per the NEP 2020, we need actually in this time scenario, we need the AI integration. Okay, so this is about the introduction. Now come to the second section. So now we understood, okay, we need the AI integration. Okay, because we want to fill the gap, we want to give the quality education to all. That's why we need something, some kind of technology support which can fill this gap. Okay, so now the second section here is the understanding of the AI. So what is the AI? First, we should understand. If we understand the AI, then only we can implement, we can understand, okay, what kind of facility we can get from that kind of technology. So now, what is the AI? AI, by the way, in this is a very common term. So, but I'm just giving a one-line definition of it. So, this is the basically AI is the learning from the data to assist the human. Okay. So, what AI is doing? AI is some kind of algorithm. Suppose in the machine learning. Okay. So, it is the algorithm. It collects the data. It collects the pattern, and after that, it will assist to the human. Okay. So basically the purpose of the AI is this one, and how we can implement for us means for the school education. So we have the attendance, we have the assessment marks, we have the different kind of educational activities and all this thing, and we will collect that data and we put into the artificial, we give the data to the algorithm and as a artificial intelligence, and accordingly it will give some kind of pattern to us. Okay, these kind of, suppose one student is weak in the some particular area in a particular subject. So if every time he's getting the less mark in that particular area, okay, we will detect from that particular pattern, we will detect from the AI. So we can identify the pattern as per the second point. Here you can see that. Okay. and as I already told you, it can suggest the teachers. Okay, and it should not be the decision makers, but there is a problem, like we are not responsible. Responsibility is that teachers should be used as an assistants of this AI for their this education purpose only, and obviously it should be in a human control. So this is the artificial intelligence, by the way. Okay, so this is one definition of the artificial intelligence, but what are the examples for the artificial intelligence? So there are some examples, like suppose if silver learner student is there, so we need to give the personalized training to him. So obviously one by one teacher cannot give the personalized training to the 50 or 60 students. So obviously we need some kind of support. So there are some very basic AI platform like the Diksha, Khan Academy, Baizu. So I think Diksha, you all aware about it. Okay, and there are other free, by the way, these are all the free AI platforms. Like suppose if teacher want the assessment, and if I want to give the particular assessment for a particular topic to a particular student, okay, because that student is weak in that particular area. So that's why again there are some platform which can, like this is the dashboard, Microsoft reading progress. Okay, and now suppose as in these days we know that suppose I want to teach the biology. Okay, in the biology there are different kind of diagram which is very difficult to draw by the chalk. So if I be using the digital scenario, and if I using the image, so I can explain better in it. So that's why content support also be one area in which we can use the AI. So there are many content repositories are there, which is already there, digital platforms. Those are Swayam, YouTube, Education, Diksha. Okay, and like for the just to administrate the teaching by the teachers, like the Google Classroom. So you can manage the attendance, assessment marks, managing the progress of the each student. We can go through the Google Classroom, like Microsoft Copilot. Suppose you want to work on the Excel or some Word document, Google Doc, and all these things. So Microsoft Copilot is a very good software, and all are the free. These are. So these are some examples. So in which we can empower the teaching, as well as we can give the more information and the particular information to a particular student, which is actually the purpose of the NEP 2020. So this is the AI, and now, okay, so we discuss about what is the need of the AI, and after that, what is actually AI. Now, third thing is that, okay, if suppose we are using the AI, okay, now obviously there should be some framework, there should be some rules, means up to what extent we should use, and up to what extent the other stakeholder, like suppose policymaker, then institutional level, then teachers, then student, and then society. Okay, so we should discuss about the policy framework also. So now come to the next section, which is the policy framework. So in the policy framework, like suppose as per the diagram, you can see that suppose if there is we are making some kind of rules and some kind of technology, and if we are not making the rules for that, so that technology can be used as in a positive manner as well as in a negative manner, like ethically or unethical. Okay, suppose I'm collecting the data of the student, and there is some sensitive information of the student, like about the progress and all this thing, and someone is misutilizing that data, so it will be harmful for the student career. So that's why we need the policy framework for the AI integration in the school. So this is just through this diagram, we are just comparing that without policy, data can be a risk, and it can be a biased or misutilized. And if it is a bias, obviously there should be the confusion in the pattern if AI will be generated. And if we are using with the policies, so data should be protected, the fair ethical means, and obviously everyone should have the clear role, like stakeholder, what stakeholder will do, what student will do, what the parents and society will use, what kind of technology for what kind of purpose. So these kind of rules basically we need. Okay, so this is the need of the policy framework. But what is the policy framework? So the question arises, what is the policy framework? So policy framework basically, as I told you, this is the guideline. Okay. So if I'm proposing any kind of technology, so obviously there is some guideline how AI should be designed, because the same AI can be used by the teacher, the same AI software or technology can be used by the student. So if we are designing, we have to keep in the mind, okay, if suppose same software, suppose any, we can take any example like ChatGPT. If ChatGPT, suppose faculty is using or teacher is using the ChatGPT, the same software is using by the student also. So how AI should be designed, used and monitored. Monitoring is also very important area, because in the education purpose, suppose we are making any kind of software, any kind of technology, AI integrated technology. So at time to time, we will get the feedback from the society, and after that we can, so this is the monitoring, after that we can improve it. So that's why monitoring also important part of it. This is not the case that we develop the software, we make the policy and just we design and use. So monitoring also the important part in this. So as per the diagram, you can see that there are basically the three main components, like guideline principle means the policies. Then policy will decide what will be the roles and responsibilities of the users, and after that the monitoring. And after monitoring, we review it, and after that we can scale up or scale down according to the review. Okay, so now the next question arises, what is the key element of the policy framework? So what are the key elements? So now these are the some key elements. So there are 5 key elements. First is the data privacy and security. So obviously whenever we are using any kind of AI tool, the data should be protected and it should be ethical. Like if teacher is using one software, then it should be, means it cannot be used to misutilize the information of the student, misutilize the information of the institute or government agencies. So it should be used ethically. And obviously the transparency should be there. So what is the transparency? Means suppose I'm using the Copilot, okay? So, and I'm using some kind of Excel file, like suppose I'm also the teacher. So suppose I'm using the Copilot for the Excel file. So whatever the command I am giving, I should know what should be the output of that. So whatever the software is providing by the technological provider, there should be some transparency that user should know what kind of data I'm putting and what kind of output I will get. Means input output information should be there. It should not be black box. Like suppose I'm giving something and I'm getting something, and in middle of that my data is utilized for other purposes, which I don't know. So transparency should be there, which is also the very important, by the way, this is the sub part of the ethical use. And now the next key element is the roles and responsibilities. So as I already told you that at every layer, like at the top layer, middle layer and the bottom layer, like the stakeholders at the government agencies, institutional and teacher, everyone should know the roles, what is the roles each and every layer, and what will be the responsibilities if I'm using the AI for the any kind of purpose, like for the education. So it should be responsible use. And at last, obviously the monitoring and review. By the way, this is the upper layer work, like suppose the stakeholder, like the institutional level and at the government's level. So these are the mainly key points. So as I already told you, okay, this is the policy framework. Now, if we are making the policy framework, obviously there should be some governance stakeholders for that, and we should define the roles. So now come to the next section, so which is the governments and stakeholder and the roles. So now what is the governments refer to that? So basically this is the process and responsibilities through which AI policies are implemented. So policy framework will be used, but we have to implement it also, so which will be done by the governments, and then monitor, and then after the monitoring we review it, and if it is required for the improvement, we improve it. And suppose it is not ethically using and the responsibility are not properly handled by the user, so we should scale down it also. or we should restrict up to some extent also. So basically, first we already discussed, we have some policies framework. After that, the government sector will implement it, and obviously the users will use it, like at the school level. So the governments actually convert from policy to practice. So this is the role of the government. So now come to the what are the stakeholders. So there are 6 stakeholders if you convert, but broadly classified into 2. So one is the institutional level stakeholder and another is the human stakeholder. So what is the institutional level stakeholder? Like the first is the government and the education authorities, and second is the school management and the technology provider. So I'm keeping these as a institutional stakeholder, because at the broad level, suppose we want to implement something at the broad level in the uniform way, obviously these will play the key role. And at the ground level, at the implementation level, human stakeholder will play the main role. Like teacher is always the mediator between the institutional as well as the human. Here I'm related the human with the students and society, and obviously student, parents, and the society. So one by one, we will go through all the stakeholders. Okay, so now the first stakeholder is the government and the education authorities. So as I already told you, suppose if I am if I want to implement some AI integration in the school education, obviously the first step coming from the government and the education authorities. So they develop the guidelines and they develop the ethics, they develop the rules. Okay, and after that, they also support for the capacity building. By the way, it will be implemented at the human stakeholder, but they support for that, like for the infrastructure, for the some conduction of the program, like this program also as a part of that. So they support for the capacity building. Now come to the next is the school management and leadership. So in the school management at the school level, if I am implementing the policy and if I am implementing the infrastructure, suppose obviously if I'm using the digital tool, I need at least the computing device like laptop or desktop, whatever. So we need the computing device. So infrastructure also required for that. So school can provide it, and school is the responsible for the monitoring of it through teacher, but obviously it is the responsible for the monitoring. So now the third is the technology provider. So this is also very important. They play the very important role in that. So basically whatever the technology they are making, so it should be safe, transparent, ethically driven and all this thing. Okay, and the data, whatever we are giving the data, suppose I am the teacher, so I am giving the data to the technology, to the algorithm. So it should be private. It should not be used by the other software or some other organizations. And obviously, suppose if I'm making the software, suppose technology provider is making the software, they should provide the training also and support also. So these are some points. So these are the institutional stakeholder. Now come to the human stakeholder. So the first human stakeholder is the teacher. As I already told you, the teacher is the mediator between the institutional stakeholder and the society, student, parents, the human stakeholders. So basically, he is the key role between these. So and because if we are making the software, we are implementing the AI. So teacher is the person who actually define how ethically they can use it and what kind of data they will give to the software. So basically, there are more responsibilities are there for the teacher. So obviously, should be responsible, then support the student learning, so they can use for the student learning also. As I already told you in the first slide that for the diverse learning, we need to support the student learning part. And obviously, if I'm using it for the student learning purpose, so we will get the feedback and we will get this feedback, give to the institute will give to the government. So accordingly, it can review it and we can improve it also in the later stage. Okay, now the next is the student and parents. This is also the very important stakeholder because they are the users. So obviously responsibility always be there, and but student, okay, the new generation already aware what is the AI, but the parents don't know. Most of the parents don't know about the what is the AI, so they should be informed. And what is the transparency of this software? They should also be informed about it. So here, the transparency is very important parameter which we should include here for the parents. And so if they will use and they know what is the purpose of that software for that technology, so they can raise the concern. Okay, like my kid or my student is using this software, but this is not ethical, and these are the pros and cons for using that kind of software, so that they can concern. So, and obviously we need that kind of feedbacks to improve the AI technologies and AI implementation. And at last is the community. So community basically this is a sub part of the student and parents, because community is making by the student and parents. So, and the community, the main role of the community is the feedback. So basically this is work as an observer only. So they observe it and they give the feedback through the parents, through the student, through the teacher, and it will come to the upper level at the stakeholder, and they will change the policies accordingly. Okay, so now these are some roles and responsibility of the stakeholders. Now, the next very important area which we should include here is the ethics and the data privacy. Because without ethics, if we are not following the software as per the ethical use, then obviously it can be misutilized and data can be leaked. So that's why these two very important parameters which we are going to cover. One is the ethics and another is the data privacy. So what is the ethics and data privacy? So before going to that, first we should know about the data governance. So what is the data governance? It referred that how a student data is collected. As I already told you, the teacher will collect it, he will use it, and the responsibility of the protection is the technology provider. So how student data is collected, used, stored obviously, and protected when we are using the AI system in that. So here in all the points, their ethics should be play the very important role. Because why ethics? Suppose if teacher is collecting the data and he is suppose leak that data and utilize for some in other software which is not given by the educational institute, he is using with some other, like ChatGPT. Suppose if I am using the data in the ChatGPT has that data, and maybe in future someone will use it for other purposes which is not ethical use. So that's why we have to use and obviously teacher play a very important role in that. So it should be ethically, the data should be ethically used. And as I already told you, transparency also be there. And so teacher will maintain the transparency with the parents. So if I am collecting the data from the student, then parents should know what kind of data we are collecting. Unnecessary, either we are collecting the unnecessary data or the necessary data only. So in all these things, basically in the ethics, the teacher has the main role, and other users also have the play the role, but teacher has the most important role in that. So here you can see in the diagram, like suppose we collecting the data, student data, and then we secure the data handling, and this is done by the technology provider. Then we do the analysis. So teacher will do the analysis through the software. But as I already told you, this is here the ethics come into the picture, like what kind of software they are using. Either they are using for the limited educational purpose or some other purposes. Okay. So now after that, teacher will support for this all this kind of thing, and obviously for the student learning improvement. So this is the ethics. Now come to the another slide for the ethical and the responsible use. So we understood what is the data governance and where we use the ethics. So now the core idea of the ethics is that technology should be used fairly and transparently. If suppose I know, if I'm giving the data, what will be the outcome, how this algorithm will work. Obviously, I'm not saying that teacher will explain about the mathematics behind the algorithm, but at least parents, students should know, okay, if I'm giving X data and I'm getting the Y output, then what is dependence of that, like how Y is dependent on the X. Okay, so that kind of information should be there. So so we have to design, by the way, the ethical principle will be defined by the policy framework through the institutional stakeholders, and the responsibility also be designed. And after that, whatever the ethics and responsibilities we are defining in the policies, so but this should be human oversight. It should be under the control of the human, obviously the teacher. But because we want to use the AI as a assistance of the educational purpose, not the decision maker. Decision maker always be the human, always be the teacher or the user. And obviously it should be the safe and fair student output for that. So so this is the thing. So now we have understood, okay, this is the AI. What is the AI? What is the need of the AI? What is the governance? What is the policy framework? What is the ethics? What is the responsibilities? Now, all these things are okay, but how we implement it? So obviously, there are some model we have to choose. So through which step by step we will go and we will implement at the ground level. So the next section cover the governance model and implementation. So first we will cover the governance model, and after that we will go through the step by step how we will implement it. So basically, if we discuss about the models of the government, so basically it's defined how responsibilities and decision making are shared in the AI integration. So there are three kind of model as per my understanding. So there is a centralized model, decentralized, and hybrid. So centralized model is that, so if I am applying the AI tool or some integration in the school level from the institutional stakeholder. So, and if I want to make the uniform rules, okay. So if I am making the uniform rules for all the schools, obviously this is the best practice. But generally the problem is that in our India, the means some schools in the urban areas, some schools in the rural areas, some each and every school has a different kind of infrastructure as well as the facilities. So centralized governments is generally will not work here. And now the next one is the decentralized. So what is the decentralized? Decentralized means school have the power to make the decision. So again, if we will apply that kind of model, so school will take the decision, and every school has a different kind of scenario, means the different kind of student. Different kind means there is a different background, like different reason, language, and different background of the teacher also. So this model also not good for all. So either the centralized model or the decentralized model, these are not good, but centralized model good for the, if we want to implement some kind of AI integration in all over or the uniformly in the India. Decentralized is good if we want to implement the AI implementation at the school level. So that's why there is another model, the third one, which is the hybrid model. So in the hybrid model, what is the facility? Means at the top level, we give the rule, but with the flexibility at the school level. So there is a central guideline with the local flexibility. So if we are using that kind of model, so obviously it will be more practical approach, because we there is too much diversity in the India. So that's why this is the best model for us. So now come to the step by step and how we can implement it. So okay, so these are the three models. So hybrid model is the best one as per our current scenario. So now how we will implement it. So the AI integration in the school should be gradual. It cannot be implemented in the one day or 1 year. It should be gradual and guided and responsible. So gradual means, suppose if I'm implementing a software, if I'm means giving us some kind of technology to AI technology to the schools, so they will use it. After that, we will get the feedback, and then we can improve it. We can restrict some data privacy, some improve the transparency after the feedback. So again, we will give us some modification in the software, some So that's why this is the gradual process. At a time, it cannot be implemented. So so there are 5 steps through which we can implement it. So the first step is the awareness, and which is the very basic and the important step. So awareness means I'm not saying teacher, uh, student, parents should know about the each and every part of the AI, but they should know the basic understanding of the AI, what AI can do, what AI cannot do. These 2 things, at least, or any kind of software they are using, any kind of technology they are using, they should know that. And if I am implementing any kind of software, any kind of technology, that digital readiness should be there. Suppose if a school is a very outskirt and there is no such kind of facility, suppose in the internet facility or the computing facility is not there, any kind of computing facility is there, then digital readiness is not possible. So that's why this is also the, in the step 3, this is the capacity building. So it should be there, then only we will improve the digital readiness. So now come to the second step, which is the policy. Suppose we aware about it, we have the readiness, digital readiness, and after that we implement the policy. Policy will be made at different level. Institution level, they make the policy. After that, come to the teacher level, then come to the parents level and society level. So policy, as I already told you, it should be the ethically driven. This is transparent. The roles and responsibilities should be defined. Okay, all these things we already covered. So now come to that next step, which is the capacity building. So capacity building is like, okay, we have the technology, we have the awareness about it, technology awareness, we have the policies. Now we need the infrastructure. So and obviously there is some training also, like NCERT is generally giving the training for that, and there are so Diksha is there, so SOAM is there. There are different kind of platform which is giving the training to the teacher as well as for the students. So this is also the very this is the third step. So after that, if we have the infrastructure as well as this is the, by the way, this is the software infrastructure as well as we need the hardware infrastructure, because if I'm giving the lecture, so I need at least some computing devices, some internet connections. So hardware implementation capacity building also be required. Now come to the fourth step, which is actually the implementation. Up to step 3, we are just making the policy, the awareness and all this thing. But here we actually implement it. So as I already told you, this is the gradual process. It cannot be implemented in a single day. So we can start with a small role exercise. Like suppose if I'm using the NCERT platform, the Diksha platform, or the SWAM platform, there is almost negligible risks. Just we are going through it, we are learning from there. Okay, so whatever the platform we are using, whatever the policy maker you making the platform and allow the platform, then it should be strictly used for the education purpose only. And obviously when there is the implementation, we have to monitor as well as the improve it. So which is the next step. So monitoring is there, but after monitoring, the next step is the review. So after review, suppose we are getting the feedback through the society, through the through the student, through the parents, then teacher collected, then analyze it and send to the institute send to the policy maker, the technology provider. Okay, then they review it. We all actually reviewing it, and after that the policy maker will decide, okay, this should be scale up or scale down, or scale up with some restriction, or scale down or stop that kind of facility, that kind of thing. Okay, so if we are using these 5 steps, so we can implement it. Now suppose okay, policy, everything we have, we are using the step, but still there are some challenges. So now I'm going to cover some challenges and possible mitigations. So the first and very basic challenge is the limited awareness, as covered in the step 1. So obviously we are giving the I think in the last month on the 22nd December, I already conducted one FDP in the NCERT. So that kind of awareness should be there. And we have the platform, as I told you. So we can mitigate by this platform the limited awareness. And so this one challenge, by the way, there are multiple challenges. Now, second challenge is the lack of the teacher training. So this is one platform where I am giving the lecture. So this is through which we can also mitigate. And there are, in these days, there are so many platforms, like even YouTube education also with a very good platform for that. So we can mitigate it. Now come to the challenge 3, the data privacy and security. And this is the most important role played by the teachers. So, and then second role played by the technology provider. So if they are doing well in that area ethically, where they are using the ethically, then obviously this problem will not arise or it will be mitigated. And now come to the challenge 4, which is the infrastructure and resources, which is the responsibilities of the institute as well as the government. So that's why if they are giving the infrastructure, the capacity building, obviously this challenge can also be mitigated. Now come to the resistance to the change. But this basically this is the natural human behavior. Whenever there is a new technology is there, obviously we resist generally to adopt the new technology. Okay, so suppose in these days we are talking about the AI. Maybe after some time the explainable AI will be there, and then cognitive AI will be there, super intelligence will be there. Obviously we will resist, society will resist these technologies also in the near future. So that's why this is the normal human nature. We cannot do it, but we can mitigate only by the awareness, which is the first challenge. So through the first channel, we can overcome the challenge number 5. Okay. So now this is the my discussion about it. Now come to the last summary point, like about the takeaways and the discussion. So what is the takeaways? As I multiple time I told that teacher is the central of this AI support in the education system. So like what are the takeaways we are getting from this lecture is the AI can support teaching and learning when used the responsibly. So if we are using ethics and we define the responsibilities, okay, we just present the software with the transparent manner, means it should not be the black box, then obviously it is helpful for us and it should be implemented as per the NEP 2020. Also the mandate is there, and governments should clarify the roles and responsibilities, and data privacy is also very important concern for the technology provider. So these are few points which I covered. Now come to the what is the way forward of that. So build AI awareness and capacity among the educators. So obviously the government can take the initiative in that, and adopt the phases, well-governed and consent-sensitive AI integration in that. As I already told you that whenever the new technologies come, so it resists, generally it resists. So, and encourage the collaboration among all the stakeholders, either the governments, either the institute, either the teacher, the student, and society. They should be collaborate, and we all should work together. We should work ethically. We should use ethically. Then only it will be the helpful for us. Okay, and obviously whenever we giving the technology and we are using the technology, we integrate the AI in our school education. It should be reviewed time to time. It should be monitored, and as per the review, as per the feedback, we have to improve it. Improve in the manner of the ethics, responsibility, and the transparency. Okay, so this is my lecture, and now the session is open for the question and answer, and I want to thank for this discussion. And this is my contact info, so I'm open for the question and answer. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for this entire discussion on day 2's session, which is on policy framework and governance models for AI integration in school education. As you have opened the floor for discussion, we have some questions for you. So my first question is that how do you think that AI can be used as a support tool to teachers for addressing diverse learning needs in the classroom? As you said that of course AI cannot replace teachers. Teachers have the wisdom, supervision that only they can provide as per their expertise. But how can AI tools come handy to them when it comes to making the classroom really inclusive?
So basically, as I covered 2 or 3 points, suppose if I'm using the digital tool means suppose if I want to present one diagram, like biological diagram, or suppose I want to use for the geometry. So if I'm using the digital tool, obviously we can present better because this is the digital image. So obviously we can present better, we can explain better. B means I'm because I'm the teacher, that's why I'm generally considered B. So I'm the teacher. So whenever I am saying B, so this is the related to the teacher.
Sure.
So so we can explain properly, like the minute information also we can explain. So this is the one way. Second is the so this is the explanation in the classroom.
Okay.
There is another area where we can improve, like second area is the administration level. Suppose I'm the teacher and I have to monitor, suppose there are 50 students in my classroom. So obviously I cannot monitor one by one student. So if I'm making the Google Classroom is very common platform. So if I'm making the Google Classroom and every time if I'm taking the quiz assessment and I'm giving 5 questions from different areas and one particular student in week, suppose in particular question every time.
Yeah.
So it is difficult for a human that it detect the pattern. By the way, it is not impossible, but it takes time. So if we want to save the time to the teacher, because teacher has other responsibilities also.
Yeah.
If we will save the time of the teacher, so he can concentrate on the learning new things and whatever because technology is changing very fast.
Yes, indeed.
So that's why we should give some time to the teacher that they can also learn the technology, then only they can pass the information to the student. So that's why if we are using that kind of tool, like Google Classroom is there, suppose I want to, for pattern recognition, when one student is weak in a particular area. Okay. So then I can give some kind of solution, like suppose, okay, someone is, okay, let's take the example. Suppose one student is weak in the geometry and but same student is good in the algebra.
Yes.
Obviously he need more assessment in that geometry. So if I'm giving the assessment, by the way, if I'm making the assessment for the geometry for one student, obviously another student in another area, so I cannot make the 50 assessment, the separate 50 assessment for all the 50 students. But I can give the particular link, particular platform information. Okay, there is a Khan Academy is there. There's a YouTube educational channels are there. So if I'm giving that kind of information, say, okay, if you are weak in the geometry, okay, this is the link for the particular platform. Just go there and just practice these 10 question and just come back to me. Right. So in that manner, as well as administration, as well as the classroom teaching, and as well as we can save the time of the teacher, so he can also learn, he can also give the better information to the student. So in that manner, in all the scenarios, we can improve the learning outcomes.
Sir, you also mentioned during the discussion that not everybody is tech savvy. Even till date, there are certain parents, certain set of parents who do not know much about AI. And hence, when AI and student data is used together, there are concerns. The biggest concern is the privacy concern. Then there are ethical concerns as well. How do you think, sir, teachers and parents can actually address these concerns, or schools can address these concerns?
So basically, as I already told you that, okay, this is right. As per the new generation, obviously they know they more adaptive to the new technologies, and our little bit old generation is obviously not means adapted
very tech
for the
savvy,
new
yes.
Yeah. So this problem everywhere. Means these students will be old. Then again, suppose in the after few years, the explainable AI is coming there. Cognitive AI is going to come in the picture. Super AI is going to come in the picture. So obviously they will also feel the same. So that's why the technology provider and the policy maker should ensure, if suppose we are implementing any kind of AI technology in the school education level, then at least what is the input and what is the output, what technology can do, what technology cannot do, at least this information should be communicated. I think this can be understood by any parents, or the society can understand very well, or obviously whoever the well known about the technology.
Right.
So he or she can easily understand.
We can address the concerns like that. Now, sir, we do not have enough time left, so I would like to ask you one last question. What kind of support and capacity building do schools actually need to adopt AI tools gradually and responsibly?
Now, by the way, as per the current scenario, it is easy because almost either in the rural areas, students have the mobile phones.
Everybody, yeah.
Everybody has, at least in the family, at least one touch or this Android or whatever. So at least the internet connection, mobile phone is there.
Yes.
So now it is easy. So suppose and school, what infrastructure we are providing, at least computing device should be there. Suppose at least the lecture series we can conduct, and some suppose there is a hands-on also be there. Hands-on like suppose like in the month of December, I conducted one FDP in the NCERT based on the robotics. So robotics, like suppose if I'm giving the information to the student about the robotics, obviously they need some kind of components.
Yeah.
So components has also the different variety, but we can start with the lesser one. Suppose that time in the 22nd December, I conducted that. I used the component only from 50 rupees to 500 rupees only, which is not a big amount. So any school can afford it, either in the rural areas or in the urban areas. Urban areas obviously have the more fund, but in the rural areas also they can take it. And if we have a one normal mobile phone and we have the like small components, we can do the hands-on also. Why I'm taking the example of the robotics? Because actually robotics can only understand by the hands-on. Suppose there is some kind of information like the history and all this thing. Okay, lecture series is sufficient for that. But for hands-on things also, we can start with the very basic level through the lecture series. But hands-on we can do by the very small amount. So school can provide it. And obviously this is the main, is the governments will take the initiative in that.
Of course, of course. And there are so many already.
But school also can afford it, as I already told to the NCERT.
There are already so many policies and programs in place. It's just that we have to be a little more innovative. Thank you so much, Dr. Surya Prakash, for your time and contribution to the session. It was indeed a wonderful discussion. We learned a lot. I hope our audiences will also get benefit from this entire presentation of yours. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Namaskar.
Namaste. So dear viewers, it's time for me to wrap up online training's day 2 session. Yes, this online training is on leveraging AI for transforming school education. On day 2, of course, we had this discussion on policy framework and governance models for AI integration in school education. It's a wrap from my side for this session, but what's coming up next? Here is an update regarding the same. This is the program schedule for you. So we are through with the session of online training. In a short while from now, you can actually watch a session, Sahyog, a beautiful session where we will be talking about relationship between mental health and academic performance. They both go hand in hand. So please do participate because exams are just around the corner. I'm sure you must be having a lot of curiosity and a lot of queries to participate. Thank you so much. This is me, Harpreet Kaur, signing off. Namaskar.